quality of the new reality of the higher life that Christ brought to us. We have been able to compare our lives before we came into knowledge and after we came into knowledge. Note that many people that spoke, for example, tonight, were already born again when they encountered knowledge. So it wasn't like they were unbelievers. Some were, but majority were already going to church, they were already Christians, but they didn't experience the reality of Christ. They were reading their Bible, they were going to church, they were doing the things that indoctrination had foisted upon them through religion, as the churches usually, in fact, 90% of the time, what churches practice is basic indoctrination. The spirit itself is not really what they are doing, and this is an issue that has caused the church to have a lot of setback, because you cannot do the things of the spirit by the flesh. What is carnal is carnal. What is flesh. What is spirit is spirit. And the church is born of the word and the spirit. So after you become born again and you now come into knowledge, you have to gain mastery. Apostle Paul, writing letter to Timothy, said to him that he must gain mastery. He has to get to a point where he would know how to put the knowledge that he had, how to put them to work in a practical manner to get tangible results. So again, many of us will look at the miracles of Jesus. So it is not like we don't have the information about what we are capable of doing. The problem is practically putting this information to work so that we can have the same kind of results that Jesus has. So the first thing that will stop many is fear. They have doubts, they have unbelief, and then they have fear that maybe they will not produce results. Many people will laugh at them. Some believe that they are sinners, and because they are sinners, they cannot do the things that holy people can do. Forgetting that the day they became a Christian, righteousness was imputed into them the same way it was imputed to Abraham. And by virtue of that imputation of righteousness, they have a spiritual claim to eternal righteousness, by way from this well they draw supernatural currency, supernatural ability. It is from that fountain of that which was imputed. The flesh cannot produce supernatural results. It is the spirit that can produce supernatural results. The righteousness is righteousness by the spirit, not by the flesh. So already you are righteous by the spirit. What we do in practicing morality, however, is so that we can match that righteousness with a good life, with a life that is worthy of our calling, that nobody will say, oh, see that brother, because he's a born again Christian, see the way he's doing this, see the way he's doing that, and then it will not bring our gospel to disrepute. All the testimonies we are sharing here tonight, it will be a disaster if on this same call, as we are sharing testimony, there's a brother or a sister on this call who is thinking in her head, say, but I been God, everybody is celebrating. They don't know that he's sleeping with me like that too. They will not know that guy is an hypocrite. It will be a disaster if there is anyone thinking like that. It doesn't mean that I'm not righteous. It only means that the testimony that I have has become tainted, which is why we live a holy life. We don't live a holy life so that we can play. God will not accept us for morality. Even Muslims practice morality. Even unbelievers practice morality. There is no culture or tradition in the world that encourages immoral action, except it is a culture of the devil. Even before Christianity came to Africa, they had culture and of decency. They had a culture of of morals and cultures of well behavior. Every culture, every society has it. There are rules, written and unwritten, that guides how we interact with each other as human beings. There's some culture that will say it's good to steal, or it's good to lie, or it's good to cheat, or it's good to commit adultery, or it's good to fornicate. No culture. So basically, it is the law by which we please men, but it is not the law by which we please God. What pleases God is spirit. So Jesus Christ said to that woman by the well that, God is seeking those who worship Him in spirit and in truth. For that is what desires that God desires. God is not interested in those who are just looking at marking the book of law and saying, I kept 10 laws, I kept 20 laws today, I didn't know. No. God is interested in those who will know Him by the Spirit. So you must gain mastery by the Spirit. How then do you gain mastery? By training. Don't forget, this is where I'm going. Training. You have to train yourself in this life. You have to train yourself. Athletes, they are playing the World Cup now. Many of those who are playing now, it wasn't yesterday. Some of them started preparing for the World Cup. They were playing qualifiers. They were playing for their clubs. Their body has gotten used to the stress, running, jumping. They are eating the right food, sleeping at the right time. They have psychologists with them. They have psychotherapists. They have all sorts of people that are part of them. In fact, I remember one particular team that they said they had sleeping rooms where they had a sleep doctor that helped them to paint their rooms in such a way that when the players get there, the room will allow them to quickly sleep, because they needed to sleep to recover. And they will have ice baths because they are specialists that will give them ice baths. And Apostle Paul was talking about this when they said that bodily exercise profits little, saying that we try to master our environment, and we try to master our body, and we try to put ourselves through limits, breaking limits in physical activities. But many of us do not apply the same to spiritual things. We give up on our spirits too easily. We give up on our spirits too easily. We will do press up. We will do this. There was a time I was weighing 110. Now I weigh 84. I lost weight deliberately by watching what I eat, watching what I drink, choosing when to eat, choosing when not to eat, eating my dinner. If I'm meant to eat at all by 4 p.m., if I'm going to eat anything after 4 p.m., it has to be liquid, it has to be vegetable salad. Me that was born in Ibadan, that I was growing up, I could whack amala at 11 p.m. I began to be deliberate about what I put in my mouth to eat, simply because I felt I was too heavy and I needed to shed weight. And that is me taking care of my physical body. But am I paying the same kind of attention to my spiritual body? If I wanted to master my physical body and I put in all the effort to master my physical body, how much more mastering the new life that Christ has given me? Mastering it. So training is key. You must wake up like, okay, they've said today that I can heal the sick. Okay, I've heard today that I can control the weather. Some of our testimonies, they don't talk about money. But believe me, in this fellowship, money answers to us. Like, I'm not kidding. Money answers to us. And it is not small money. The money answers to us in all currencies, and it answers heavily, individually and collectively. Testimonies that will come in sometimes that I will just drop my phone and I'll be screaming, that, oh my God, because of so we control all these things. But by the Spirit is how you get mastery. You can heal the sick one time, and then you go back to your old ways. You can win one soul, and then you go back. But the Bible says that, Jesus himself speaking, that anybody that lays his hand on the plow and looks back is unworthy. And what it's saying basically is, if you enter this life and then you go back to your old, what are you going back to do in a boring Christianity? When you tell me, I joined PSSBC, and then they finish PSSBC, and then they go back to their churches, They don't continue with us in fellowship, which I encourage. As long as I know that your leg is firm and you can stand on your own, I'm very happy to allow you go and do your thing and spread the gospel. But then they will leave and they will go back to their old churches and they will go back to their old church doctrine. Within 3 or 4 months, they will go back to their old ways. Those that have been suffering from masturbation, from addiction, from gambling, from womanizing, from that are suffering from it, when they leave, when they are with us, as soon as they come into fellowship and they begin to pray in tongues every day, read the Bible every day, just basically do the scripture daily, doing it daily, practicing, laying hands on the sick, sharing testimony, going together, the habit will stop automatically. So in fact, I've had people who they didn't even know how it stopped. They just noticed that suddenly they had no more desire for certain things. But when they stopped fellowship and they moved back to church, and they didn't continue the tradition, in quotes, the word tradition here, I know, they didn't continue in the way of life of PSSBC, the way we do things with the freedom of the spirit. They go back into religion, all those things will come back. Suddenly the wife will write to me or the husband will write to me, your sister, he has started again. Oh, your brother is not chasing skirt again. And then I'll be like, why? But I would know that it was because they left fellowship, because they left too early. They had not mastered it. You know, when you master something, it has become part and parcel of you. So you can go to the UK, for example, and live there, and then you don't have their accent. I remember when I was in the UK, I wanted to say I was going to Middle Hall. So when I got to the train station, I was looking at my girl, was looking at me. I said, how much is the ticket for Meadows Hall? So the woman looked at me and said, Meadow Hall? Meadow? I said, just give me the ticket, let me go. But if I stay there for some time, perhaps I'll begin to develop some of the accents. If I stay there for a year and I begin to practice, I may develop the accents. But if I leave there after a year and I move back to Nigeria, I will lose the accents. But if I stay there for a long time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, then I will have mastered the accents. You get? That is gaining mastery, something that you put into practice consistently over time. Your body then adjusts, your thinking adjusts, mindset adjusts, everything adjusts until it becomes second nature to you. Second nature, don't forget that, second nature. So you cannot just heal the sick once and then go and say, I healed the sick 2 days ago, and then you don't heal the sick for another 6 months. That you will not gain mastery that way. That is consistency, doing it over and over and over again until it becomes your default. It becomes your go-to. Training yourself. So, okay, they bought the children are vacating school now. So they bought the bill. So what I did, I started last, when I moved to where I'm living now and the children had to change their school. I was wearing jeans and t-shirt and I took my children to a school. And they told me already that the school was the most expensive inside the redemption camp, and I said no problem, so I went there. And then the people there, they saw me, they saw my wife, both of us very simply, and we had 3 children to put in school. And so the girl that was at the reception used her eyes to say so surprised. She felt we couldn't afford to bring our children to that school. So she said, that I wish sure we have explored all the options before we chose to come down there. And I said, what do you mean? She said, because when the children have to write an exam and the exam fee alone is so amount. And after that, school fees is this amount. I wish sure because, so I was looking at the girl. I was like, I said, what is wrong with you? Do I look poor? No, so, well, of course, so she was just like, well, she had told me, okay. So eventually they gave me the bill, and of course that particular day I didn't have the money. But they gave me the bill, and because of the exchange I've had with the girl, we've talked. I've seen the way she, when somebody is a little bit, I don't want to use certain words. The certain words are not beneath me, so I don't say them. But I know you get what I'm saying. When somebody had sized you up and had concluded that you don't belong here, like this is not your level. This is not your class of school. So I could see that in her attitude. So, and she was right in a sense, but I wasn't offended. I was just challenged. Yeah. So I was challenged because of the way she was talking, the way she was acting. In fact, she was telling me that they have to give her the money for the exam first before she can give me the form. Because some parents, they've come in, they'll collect the form, they will not now pay, they will not go away. She doesn't want to stress herself. She knows she was talking like that. Like, you guys don't belong here. That was the mindset, right? So when she was doing that test now, I said, okay, go and bring the exam forms, go and bring the deposit. I paid. But then when I now saw the school fees, I realized, this girl is right too. Like the weather was quite much. So I remember that day, in my head, I registered the amount that I was supposed to pay. It was much for 3 children. It was quite much. Compared to where they were coming from, it was quite much. But because of the exchange we've had, now I didn't want to walk away and say, oh, you are right. I can't afford to put my children in this school. Let me go and try another one. I wouldn't, because I know who I am. I didn't have the money at that time because I had no need for it. So I remember I lifted up my phone. I took my phone. She was standing before me and she had shown me the account number of the bank where I'm supposed to pay into, how much I'm supposed to pay for the children to resume. They've written the exam by then. They passed. So the 3 of them can come into school, but I have to pay immediately. So I just lifted up my phone like this. She was standing in front of me. I just lifted up my phone like this. I just shook it. Then I brought down my phone. Immediately, I had money. I'm telling you, before I think I shared this in PSSBC. I went to take. I just cleared all the money. And then from that day, every time the children goes on holiday, I will pay the next term school fees. The very day they say, oh, they finish exams, then I'll pay next term school fees. That's standard and I said for myself. So the girl, last week when I went for their end of their activity, I think on Friday, this same girl that just 2 years ago was like, hey, you don't belong here, was the one that came to meet me. God bless you. You have been one of our most consistent parents. We want you to be part of the PTA. We want you to be part of friends of the other association they call friends of whatever name of their school. Want to be part of it. We want to give you a form. They really want to do the opening charge for us in this meeting. So within 2 years, they had seen and they had come to know. And that was because from that time, I didn't let that miracle be one time. That's my point. I didn't do, okay, now I don't have the money and I could be embarrassed there because of the attitude of the girl. Then I lift up my phone and then the money came, I paid and I said, finally, I was able to pay. God, no go shame us. Hey, and then I forget about it. No, from that day that I was able to pay that money, I had conquered it. You see, I had conquered. They had increased the school fees several times after that. I had never failed to pay once, and I pay everything at once, and I will pay before the next term. I'm just trying to make this. I will actually the one for next January. I've already paid it. Their school fees for January, I've paid it last Friday. I just carried everything like that, and I'm moving on my life because I had conquered that. It will no longer be an issue. That is consistency. That is not a one-off miracle. That is something that I had mastered. When we are doing the project, to say, oh, this we need 2 million. 2 million is not a problem. We need 3 million is not a problem. When they began to bring a bill of 20 million, 25 million, 30 million, okay, I sat up and said, okay, This is another level I have to master. I have to master these millions becoming multiples. Okay, and then everybody that is aware of what we are doing, the buildings we are doing, you will notice we began to handle the multi-million naira aspect of the project from the moment we were doing the roofing. From the roofing was about almost 40 million. From that roofing, we came to windows. That was another maybe 25 million. We mastered it and we are doing it week in, week out, not gapping. And we didn't levy anybody. We didn't go to write letter of appeal. We didn't go to people and collect their tithes, No. Among ourselves, we do what we can, and then the power of the Holy Spirit supplies the rest at every stage. That is mastery. That is as a result of consistent practice. We didn't allow our faith to atrophy. We didn't allow it to become weak. We didn't allow it to leak. Be consistent, because with consistency the muscles become strong. If today now you do 3 kilometer run, you will be breathing. But you do it again tomorrow. You have my chest, you do it again tomorrow. My back, you do it again tomorrow. A day will come, you notice that you are doing it effortlessly. Why? Consistently. You are doing it over and over and over again. So at the beginning, to see myself, the miracles are coming in trickles. Don't give up. You are mastering this life. You are mastering this life. Don't say, hey, it didn't work. I lay my hand on it. The parents did it. Don't be a gongolarity. Don't behave like that. It is the truth. The truth is already written. If you are not experiencing it, it is your body that will be conditioned to bring it about. Sometimes, some of us, the frequency by which we work miracles are different. So our body system, like me, when I began to work miracles, I was my younger brother had been healing the sick consistently before I began to heal the sick. It was one that led me to Christ. He had been healing the sick. I could just say, go, and then he would do one-on-one ministration. I would do it on the altar. I would preach, and then I'll say, Jesus said you are healed, and then people come and share testimony. When I was a pastor, but he was not the pastor at the time, so he would lay hands on. He used to teach teenagers. He would lay hands on them. He would heal them. He would come and share the testimony. So he was working on that one-on-one. I was doing the general. I wasn't doing the one-on-one. When I began to do the one-on-one, my God, it was as if it was a struggle at the beginning. Suddenly it was no longer a struggle. We got to the point where I would stand and I would just tell somebody to stand in my shadow. The person will be healed. My younger brother does that too. But later I realized that with consistency, now we are talking about cancer disappearing, we are talking about HIV, we are talking about all these things. And some of us, they want to heal HIV. It's like somebody that has not run, that has not trained at all to run. You now said you want to do marathon. Maybe you know that it's better they will used to carry you to the hospital. When you want to one point that you cannot breathe again, you begin to do they will just carry stretcher and put water on your head, and then they will put you in the hospital, and all the sweat you sweated, they will give you drip and return all the water back to your body. Why? Because you didn't train for it. So people say, I want to start with HIV. We start with cancer. That's not what I started with. You begin to build your faith, build it up, start. Just started by turning water to wine. That was the beginning. That was a very simple miracle. So some of you would think that's a very simple miracle. Turning water to wine was a very simple miracle. Because all you had to do was manipulate the elements. The most difficult miracles are the ones you do with people, because elements don't need faith. People sometimes require faith. And if they don't have faith, it will affect the result, the product that you want to bring forth. But if it's just to stop the rain does not need faith. It's only your faith. So you just tell the rain to go. If the sun was too much, I do it. I just say, hey, sun, can you dim a little? You are too much. You don't, and then the sun will go down, then I will go wherever I want to go. I practice that consistently. Why? Because I didn't want my faith. I want to gain the mastery. I didn't want my faith to atrophy. I didn't want to be used to heal the sick, it does not heal the sick again. Once you stop, the flow stops. Remember that. As much I could have shared with you, it's already 11:15 or 11:45. We are closing this session in a few minutes. So let me share this last one. imagination. I'm going to be teaching PSSBC School 16, I think tomorrow. I'm going to teach you extensively on imagination, but let me mention this, especially because of those who are listening now. Now that you know that you have this way life, you know the way you daydream as a person, as a human being. Maybe you have an exam to write, and then you just lay down on your bed and you're thinking of that exam. Like, okay, this question, how do I do it? I do that. Or maybe after you've written the exam, you're not lying down, you're not considering, you can't answer that question one. You now begin to consider it in your heart. You're not thinking about it. You are now saying, did I answer it well? What about question two? And you allow your mind to stay on a thing for a long time. Deliberately allowing your mind, projecting your mind to stay on a matter, on a thing for a long time. You have to do that also with the things of the Spirit. You have to watch videos. You have to listen to teachings. Like we have been deliberately providing content on healing, over the one. We've been doing that so that those who are listening, they are going to be built up. They will grow in it. They will master it. They will understand it. Why? Because when you listen and watch, you are opening up your imagination so that at a point you begin to imagine yourself doing these things. You see the rain, you imagine telling the rain to go. You imagine speaking to finances, but you have to understand, many of us, because if your motive is selfish, sometimes you don't get answer to prayer. So some people, when they finish spending money, they are not in debt. They will not desperately be praying, Father, money. You will not get it. Although sometimes debts are written off, but that is not the principle. The principle is not that you have exhausted and then God is your last resort. No, this is not the life. The life is that God is your life now. So it's the only resort. That's what I'm saying. Not that you first live the pious life. When you have now come to your wit's end, you will now switch to Zoe life. That's not true. That's not the right thing. The right thing is this, that this Zoe life is what you live by default. And so you have to practice this Zoe life consistently. So if you have 10 naira in your hand, instead of you going to borrow and then put your neck in a problem, let the Holy Spirit guide you. Speak to Him. Talk to money. Talk to this. Talk to that. Increase the money. I do that. I'll look at my money in my bank account. I'll do like this. I'll breathe to my phone. I'll open the app. I'll say, what is this? Is it me that has 20K in my account? It's impossible for me to have 20K. Impossible. It's an insult. It's an insult for me to have less than good millions in my account. At this level of my work with God, yeah, and with the kind of issues that I have to handle every day, survive on a budget of mere thousands, And there was a time, yeah, maybe 2 years ago, when the little couple came, when I see extra 30,000, I will roll on the floor. I will say, Father, I thank you. But I think mature, we're growing. And look after them, we have not to spend on me, but when people reach out to me, this, that should be able to talk, working code. It is natural for me to be able to pick my phone and then to say, I send the account number, send the account number, send the account number. That is, it's part of my ambience as a prince of God. I should have resources. So I will not be grateful for 10K. So when I see that, I say, Kilele, who is the owner of this one? When I speak like that, my phone will quickly go wherever it will go. I'm not joking, and I'm not making I just wanted to know. It is consistent practice. If you have not been doing it before, you now want to start, you better start today and begin to do it consistently, making this way life the primary target consistently. Not that when you are desperate, when your back is against the wall, you now begin to do 70 days fasting. Father, provide the money. Father, provide the money. That is like somebody that wants to run marathon, who didn't train and then jumped, or somebody that doesn't know how to swim, who jumped at the deep end of the pool. You will drown. And then you will now say, God didn't come true for me. God didn't come true for me because you didn't train yourself righteously. Jesus trained. John the Baptist was trained. Grew. That's what the Bible said. He grew. That means he went through stages. And his teaching evolved. You notice. So he didn't begin to teach of heaven in one day. He started with the kingdom of heaven in Satan. Then he moved to the parables. Then he moved into practical sessions of healing. Then he began to talk about himself as the kingdom. So you notice that everything, you grew in knowledge, you grew in wisdom. So you must grow into these things. And growth means consistent living. That is why you are growing, because every day you are living consistently. So you are practicing some things consistently. So you master life. So you have mastered this biological life. You have to master this Zoe life. You have to be consistent. You have to make this Zoe life your default in controlling elements, money, in controlling your own emotions, in putting the things that ought to be so that they can be. It is now on you. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. It is very important. So your imagination is key. When you lie down, imagine yourself doing this Zoe life. Let your imagination, because the imagination helps your thought process, so that transfer becomes your default. As a result of your imagination, what are you seeing yourself doing? So if you see small money in your account, you just don't say, well, God will provide. God has provided. Out of, the Bible says, a good man out of the treasures of his heart will bring out. So you bring out, saying, hold, what is this? Increase. Now, in the name of Jesus. So put up. You tried it yesterday. I didn't get anything. No, me, I can do it all night. I'll be speaking in tongues all night, and I'll be shaking my phone. I'll be speaking to it all night. Do you know what I mean all night? I mean, I'll do it like from 11 p.m. I'll do it till 6 a.m. And it's not as if I'm going to call anybody for money or anything. No. In fact, if I'm going to do it, I'll say, I want to give out money. So I'll start giving out money. When I don't have money, you see me giving out money. I'll say, today I want to give people missionaries. I want to give missionaries money on Twitter. Then I'll begin to share money. But I don't have money. Like if I need 50 million and I have maybe 1 million, I'll just go on Twitter and share the 1 million. And then I'll pray and talk. By the next one, I have my 50 million. There is nothing that can stop it. I understand these things. I get it. I understand these things. I just will not. I'll say, what is the point? What do I need 1 million for? Like, I want 50. That's what I want. There's a project. That's what I want to use this to buy Lamborghini. There's a project I'm doing. There's a things we are building. We need this, and I will. Because of that, I'll move, and I will quickly do. So I just want you to pay attention. Master it. Once you master this life, you do it consistently enough. To people, you will be like a madman. They will not understand what you are doing. Your speech will change, because everybody will be saying, hey, where do we get the resources? You will say, I have the resources. Then they will be laughing. They say, you say you have it, so yeah, bring it out. Say, I have it. Their words does not matter. You are not lying, but it will seem to them as if you are lying, because now you are not speaking at their frequency. They will say, when I was there, that girl was saying you don't belong here. I said, what do you mean? This and this, what do you mean I don't? But she was right, like I said. But I decided that I belonged there. And from that time till now, there's never been a time when my children went to school and anybody wrote a letter saying, please don't forget to ask school fees. Never. I will have paid it even before they resume. My children will pay the day they close. That's when they pay school fees. Till tomorrow. And that's how it will forever be. At any level of the education, I've mastered that. I've conquered it. And you too must be consistent, and you must conquer. So this is my message, my admonition for you. The things you've heard, the things you've practiced, you have prayed in tongues, you have shifted. There is space in your spirit to hear the word. You have heard it. Master it. Control it. Take it over. Be consistent. Heal the sick consistently. As you are healing the sick in one hand, be feeding the poor in the other hand. Be opening the make sure that the supernatural is what you are doing all the time. Don't master in one. Don't come and become master on only money and then neglect healing the sick. Don't become master in healing the sick and be poor. No, please. Some of us say the wrong doctrine. You now become master in healing. You now be poor. No, master everything. You master how to walk, you master how to see at the same time, you master how to hear at the same time. That's how you live this life. You didn't master only seeing, and then the rest of your body is dead. You master everything. Your response always is supernatural. Response always supernatural to all things. When you are in your storeroom, your kitchen, you look at your store, food is about to finish. Instead of looking at, let me send my husband the message, we need more money to buy Gary. You lay your hands, Jesus in my command, every empty bowl, be filled up. That is you, mastering, deliberately putting the supernatural first. When you look at your car, you see the name of the filled up. You just do that. Make sure that supernatural is your default. That when it comes out of your mouth, it speaks supernatural. Your consciousness will adapt to it, your body will adapt to it, and then things will begin to change. You have been blessed by this cancer, right? To shout glory. That is gone.
Glory! 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 Glory!